Morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Tuesday, the 27th day of March, year of our Lord 2018. Welcome to the John Moore Show. Okay, prepper tip of the day. I haven't mentioned this in detail for a while, but I want to encourage everybody to buy more ammunition and buy more magazines. Magazines as in ammunition magazines. You can't have too much ammunition. And as far as magazines, they're expendable items. They do get damaged. They do get lost. They get rusty and so forth. They break. I would say 12 magazines for every firearm that takes a detachable magazine would be a good starting point. 12 magazines. As far as this ammunition, you get a lot better prices when you buy case lots. So you may want to look at buying case lots. Breaking news for a headline on Drudge right now is quote-unquote revolt against California sanctuary. Several communities and counties, Orange County in particular, several cities in Orange County are actually joining in lawsuit against the state of California for these illegal alien sanctuary city matters. Another headline has to do with suspicious packages being found at several military installations around Washington, D.C. There have been no injuries reported, but what little bit I read tells me that there could have been some injuries. One of these packages did contain black powder, which is an explosive powder. Another one had a circuit board with a vial of liquid attached to it, whatever that. So that's your prepper tip today, and the breaking headlines. We're going to have open lines this first hour, and the second hour we hope to have Leon Greenless. We'll be talking about all kinds of things, including doTERRA essential oils. What's been going on politically for the past several weeks since the tragedy at the high school in Florida, 17 people were shot to death, has been a new paradigm. We're seeing the mass media, celebrities, George Soros money, propelling teenagers into the limelight of political discourse. And it's new. I'm sure it's got the attention of many people in many areas. On one hand, on the other, they are youngsters. They are immature. They lack knowledge. They lack experience. They are coming from a point of emotion rather than a point of knowledge and logic, all of which are expected and normal for youngsters 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, that they would be coming from a place of emotion rather than logic and experience. What do we, as Second Amendment supporters, need to do? Well, we need to be active ourselves. I hope this helps motivate the Second Amendment people to become politically active themselves. We have the knowledge, we have the experience, and most importantly, we got the money. Teenagers generally don't have any money of any consequence. What we need to be doing is becoming active at the local level. What would that mean? Well, there's more than 3,000 counties in the United States, I believe about 3,300. The majority of those counties have an elected sheriff. There's a growing number that don't, because the New World Order understands the true power of a county sheriff. But if you live in a county that has an elected sheriff, and an elected sheriff is still exercising the traditional power and authority of a sheriff, hopefully that is the case, and that sheriff is up for re-election, you need to look very carefully at the sheriff, what his or her policies are, especially as it regards the Second Amendment and the Fifth Amendment, all the amendments of the Constitution, quite frankly. But the first 10 are the most important, I believe. And determine to your own satisfaction if that sitting sheriff who's running for re-election is one of the good guys that will support the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, including the Second Amendment, or if that sheriff is a person who won't. if your sheriff is unfortunately one of those people who won't support the Second Amendment and the First Amendment and the Fifth and the rest of them, then you need to identify a candidate who will support the Constitution. That's their oath of office. Now, why is it so important? Well, the sheriff of any given county is the top law enforcement official in that county. The FBI cannot operate in that sheriff's county without the permission of the sheriff. The state police can't operate in that county without the permission of the sheriff. That's a very powerful office. And it's been a system that's worked really good for a couple of hundred years, and hopefully will work good for 200-300 more years in the future. But we need to have a sheriff in that office in those 3,300 plus counties that will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's their oath of office. And you need to help and make sure that your county has a sheriff that will support and defend the Constitution. That's incredibly important. And how do you support them? You support them with time and money. That's what every political campaign needs. They need time, they need money. Whose time? Your time. Maybe putting up yard signs, handing out flyers, whatever it might be. Just talking to people. They need your time. If they have an office, most of the time at that level, there's not going to be a campaign office for an individual candidate. Typically, at the county level, there'll be a campaign office for the Republicans and a campaign office for the Democrats, that the candidates share those office space. But those offices need volunteers too. A Democrat sheriff, if they support the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, why not? Why not? I'd rather see a Republican because of the big picture. But if that's the best person, then that's the best person, isn't it? So, and what else can you do? Well, you might have to run for sheriff yourself if there's no viable candidate that will pick up the mantle and do it. You may have to do it yourself. It would be a challenge. I ran for U.S. Congress myself in the 1996 cycle. In the 3rd Congressional District of Missouri, Dick Gebhardt was the sitting congressman at that time and had been for more than 2 decades before. My campaign was national news for one day. That was the day it was announced that the FBI had found my credit report in Dick Gebhardt's file cabinet, which is a violation of the law, by the way, unless I gave consent for him to access my credit report, which I did not. It's an experience running for office, but it doesn't matter what office it is. I know when I ran for Congress, everybody wanted to be my friend. The Jewish businessmen wanted to be my friend. The Nazis wanted to be my friend. The labor people wanted to be my friend. The business owners wanted to be my friend. The American Indians wanted to be my friend. Everybody wanted to be John Moore's friend. You get on mailing lists. I was on mailing lists that didn't end for 15 plus years. That's it was an experience. It was a learning experience, and I'm glad I did it. We didn't have the money to accomplish our goal, but it was a worthwhile experience. And looking back on it, I probably would do it again if I had the same opportunity. So, find a candidate. If you can't run yourself, recruit somebody to run for sheriff that will support the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Whatever it takes. The New World Order truly understands the power of these county sheriffs. They do. And they're very fearful of it. The county sheriffs are the last line of defense between we the people and the New World Order. I understand it. Many of these sheriffs understand it, by the way, too. I've been working with law enforcement since 1973, professionally, as a criminal defense investigator, homicide detective. So I've had the opportunity to know and work with quite a few sheriffs these past, what would it be, 45 years? Yeah, 45 years. A a lot of sheriffs, and a majority of them, I never met a female sheriff. I know there are some around the country, but these guys have all been straight shooters. They've been good men to work with. They understand the role they play in our society, in our legal system, and so forth. So I do advise you to help elect a Constitution-supporting sheriff in your county. Now, let's extend that to other offices. There's a number of county offices at every county. Here in Missouri, we got the county collector, we got the county assessor, the county clerk, the circuit clerk, and other offices. It's helpful to have Constitution-supporting candidates running for and getting elected to these offices. And here in Missouri, the county government is run by, as far as the business part of it, how the money is spent and allocated. We have what they call the county commission. I know the county that I live in, I think it's 3 county commissioners, the presiding commissioner, and then there's 2 elected, 2 other commissioners. And they decide on how the budget is spent and other money spending issues to deal with. Now, some counties may have 5 commissioners, and they may have different titles for them in the county you live in. And in Louisiana, of course, they're called parishes. It goes back to French law as opposed to English law. But all those offices would be helpful to have men and women who are Constitution supporters. Now, this next level up from that would be state representatives and state senators. Now, let's keep in mind that these offices frequently are stepping stones to higher office, which would be the United States Congress, United States Senate, statewide elected offices such as the governor, lieutenant governor, and so forth. So it becomes incrementally more important to have constitutional people elected to those offices. Let's not leave out the other issues which are just as important. Pro-life, for example. Support homeschoolers and support revamping the public schools, getting away from the federal government involvement in education. Support people to be independent from forced vaccinations. That's a good thing. While we're on the topic of vaccinations, eliminating vaccinations as a prerequisite for employment at any place of employment. That would be a good thing. There's lots of issues. And as I said yesterday, we Second Amendment people, we need to be looking at forming coalitions, actively forming coalitions with the homeschoolers, with the pro-life people, and so forth. That will give us more impact on these state reps, these state senators, these U.S. reps, these U.S. senators, when we have these coalitions, which the elected officials recognize very quickly where the power is. They recognize the money, they recognize the votes, and they will act accordingly because they want to get reelected. That's their goal, is to be reelected or elected in the first place. I've seen these coalitions come together in the past with quite success. Here in eastern Missouri, this would have been, oh my goodness, about 1990 or so. There was a coalition formed around St. Louis to support an individual, a state, I forget if he's a state rep or a state senator, but he was running for U.S. Congress. And he said all the right things. And this coalition developed more or less spontaneously. I'm not sure how much behind the scenes was going on to form this coalition. It seemed to be spontaneous to me. And he did, in fact, get elected as a consequence of this coalition and defeat a very liberal female congresswoman, Joan Kelly Horn, by the way. And we thought we had the good guy. We really did. But it turned out we didn't. He turned out to be a turncoat. who eventually, in 1994, voted in favor of the assault weapons ban, the high magazine capacity ban, and high capacity magazine ban is what I meant to say. Regardless, he had that vote in Congress, which was around September 1994. I don't have the date in front of me. He made one more. He held, I should say, one more town hall meeting, and they almost had a riot there. He never had a town hall meeting the rest of his political career, and I hope never has one again. I hope he never runs for office again. He ended up somehow getting elected to U.S. Senate after that, and so you never know what you're going to get. You think you're electing the right guy who's going to do the right thing for the right reasons, and then they turn on you. I heard that Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, was the one who convinced this congressman to vote in favor of the assault weapons ban, the high-capacity magazine ban, in return for an appointment to a committee that he wanted to be appointed to. And also that he was told, oh, don't worry, these people will forget about it. Well, we didn't. We didn't. And much to my dismay, the NRA continued to support this guy and give him their highest rating after he voted in favor of the assault weapons ban, the high-capacity magazine ban. I was very, very disappointed in that. And many of us, men and women in the gun culture, were very disappointed in the NRA doing that. There's never been an explanation for it that I'm aware of. How could there be? How could there be? We got a first break coming up. We'll take questions, calls, and comments here at Republic Broadcasting at 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 27th of March. In the news, it's apparently Tom Cruise is building a $40 million home in Buffalo, Missouri, about 30 miles from Springfield, Missouri. This is in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks where I live. I'm sure that caught a lot of people off guard. Why would Tom Cruise go to Buffalo, Missouri to build a $40 million home? I'd like to see the blueprints for that place. I'm sure it has high security. It probably is part of what would become a self-sustaining hobby farm. my term, a hobby farm. People like Tom Cruise, they travel in the company of people who make the world work. They're on a first-name basis with people who make the world work. They get their information from the people who make the world. You think Tom Cruise gets his news from CNN or Fox? No. The Wall Street Journal? Hardly. People like Tom Cruise get their news from the people who make the news directly when it comes to things that are important, the long-term things that are really important. I've been talking for quite a few years about how the U.S. Navy has designated the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks as one of the known safe havens. This is just another brick in the wall demonstrating that people in the know are making the move, come to the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks because it has been designated a safe haven by the United States Navy, by the United States government. Now, why is the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks a safe haven? Good question. Well, let's look at the list. First of all, elevation above sea level. You need to be 600 feet above sea level. You really do. Distance from major bodies of water. Obviously, many, many hundreds of miles from the Gulf of Mexico. A relatively short, mild winter. Relatively long growing season. More water than we know what to do with. We've been going through a drought, but right now we're getting more rain than we know what to do with. A pretty homogeneous population. The Native Americans who live in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks, for the most part, I can't tell them apart from just another Irishman, quite frankly. Other minorities, well, there's a few Latinos here and there, especially around the cities where there's employment, such as Springfield, Missouri, and other places, but not that many. A pretty homogeneous population. Mostly Scots-Irish, quite frankly, going back to the middle part of the 19th century when this part of the country was settled. Following the War of Northern Aggression, a lot of people came to the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks. The soil is not terribly well suited to gardening, but you can garden if you work up the soil and know what you're doing. Agriculture in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks is timber. Occasionally you find some cornfields here and there, maybe some soybean fields. Just row crops are not real big in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks. We've got some mining that takes place. And then the men and women who grew up here, they know that God's gift to mankind is hunting and fishing. During the deer season in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks, things change. Businesses shut down. Schools have a lot of vacant seats in the classrooms and so forth. It's basically our national holiday in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks is deer season. My family roots on my mom's side go back to the pre-Civil War era in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks. I'm related to a lot of people in the county I live in by marriage and blood, more than 100 people. And it's a healthy, fun place to live. There's a saying I ran across once. Some people go on vacation, other people live there. Well, the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks is where people go on vacation. They go camping, they rent cabins, they go fishing and hunting and floating down the many rivers. The county seat where I live, Steelville, Missouri, calls itself the floating capital of the United States, which it may be. During the tourist season, the population of Crawford County, any given weekend, is probably increased by a third to a fourth. That's how many people come to all the various resorts and campgrounds around Crawford County, Missouri, where I live. So Tom Cruise is building a $40 million home in Buffalo, Missouri, near Buffalo, Missouri. I doubt it's in the city limits. And good for you, Tom. Glad to hear it. Here's our break. Call numbers 800-313-9443.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. Okay, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 27th of March. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. We continue to move forward with our project of locating images of continents with new coastlines on TV shows and movies. If you find one, get that to me. Check out the list. If you haven't been for a while, there's been a couple of new ones added this year so far. I expect this list will possibly double or more this calendar year to 2018. It's a fun project locating these images, and it's very telling, I believe. Also, my website, of course, you'll find energy cleaners for sale. This is my home business. When you place an order for an energy cleaner, I'm the guy that boxes them up. I take them to the little country post office at Cherryville, Missouri, where every Friday they have a all-you-can-eat catfish buffet with side dishes and beverage for less than $8. How about that? If you have issues with pain, not getting a great night's sleep, you need an energy cleaner. You do, really. You need an energy cleaner. Only $285 shipping included. Keep in mind, I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads that go with the energy cleaner. I had several inquiries over the weekend down in Dallas about the energy cleaners, by the way. I think you'll find it's a good combination, the energy cleaner and the mattress pad. Everything's right there at my website for sale. I do take PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. You can send me a check. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. And I have a toll-free order line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. We take your questions, calls, and comments here at Republic Broadcasting at 800-313-9443. Okay. The Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks, a beautiful area. Now, there are some issues that our area has. Employment is one of them. That's something that is more of an issue for some than others. If you're retired, obviously, it's not too much of an issue for you anymore. If you still need employment, it could be an issue depending on what your skill sets are. And that's going to vary from person to person. I do private consultations, and if people want to relocate to the Ozarks and they do need employment, well, that's an issue that needs to be dealt with, and we do deal with it, and we deal with it effectively. Depending on your skill sets and what your requirements are, you're going to find either very easy or very tough to make a living in the Ozarks. Now, some skill sets are very portable, such as being a plumber, carpenter, electrician, for example, automobile or diesel mechanic. Many professions, such as doctors, lawyers, accountants, will find employment in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks. If you're seeking to work as a factory worker, there's places that do have factories. In the Ozarks, I know in our county, in Crawford County, there's a number of factory environments, factories in Cuba, Missouri, for example. A lot of manufacturing going on there for a small town. And one of the things that you need to get used to, unless you live in a good-sized community, and there's the only city of any size in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks, Springfield, Missouri, which is the biggest city in the Arkansas, Missouri Ozarks, about 250,000 people. It has, on a reduced scale, the issues of big cities in terms of crime and drugs on one hand. On the other, those issues are dramatically smaller in Springfield, Missouri than they are in a big city, and restricted to a relatively small geographic area of downtown Springfield, Missouri. They're there, and it's an issue, and everybody knows it, and how to deal with it. It's a different lifestyle. It's definitely a different lifestyle. Let's see, we got a caller on hold here. We got Fred in Wisconsin. Good morning, Fred.
How's it going there, John?
Real good. What's your name, sir?
Well, I'm not a ferocious reader, and I heard about something, and I listened to a guy talk, and I thought I'd share this. This may be something you're aware of, but I listened to a guy talk about the Depression, and there's a book that's out, that came out recently, I guess, and it's called The Fruits of Graft, The Great Depression Then and Now, by a guy named Wayne Jett. So I listened to him talk, and I'm just starting to get into it, and it's amazing to find a 2-inch hardcover book delivered to my door for $25. And it's well done. I can actually read the print, and I just wanted to pass this along to people that may have some interest in what happened back then and how it turned out to be what we have now. So that's just a heads up, John, and if you get a chance, check it out.
Okay, give me the title again real quick.
The Fruits of Graft, Graft, The Great Depression Then and Now, by the author is Wayne Jett, Jett. Jett? Yes, sir.
Okay. Real good. Well, appreciate the call. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you.
The most families in this country have family stories about the living through the Great Depression. My family is no exception, and my mom's side of the family had the lived through the Great Depression in the Missouri Ozarks, and they had their stories about dealing with the issues of the Great Depression. My dad's side of the family, they had a plumbing business in St. Louis, and we're doing pretty good. Vacationing in Canada, driving nice cars, and having no hardships. So I got to hear both sides of it growing up, of what the two different families went through. Vast fortunes were made during the Great Depression. Vast fortunes, which included the vast fortunes made from Prohibition. There was a type of insanity, I think, changing the U.S. Constitution to prohibit the manufacture, distribution, possession of alcohol. That is absolutely insane that they did such a thing. But that also created vast fortunes. In fact, I know I have a pretty good friend who inherited a fortune made during the Great Depression by his father, who's now long gone, of course. My dad's dad, he thought he was going to be in the beer manufacturing business during the Great Depression, which he set up a small brewery and came to work one day to run his brewery and found out that a local St. Louis gang decided that they were going to take over his little brewery, and he was instantly out of the beer making business. It was quite a time. The Great Depression was quite a time. Vast fortunes were made, and of course, many fortunes were lost as well. One of the things that was taking place, of course, was the Franklin Roosevelt administration, which was, in my opinion, if he wasn't an outright communist, he certainly was doing things that were of a socialist communist nature. Much of the Ozarks were purchased by the federal government to establish national forest during the Great Depression. And they cut deals with the states to take no more than 1/4 of any given county. And you can see, if you look at the state map of Missouri, you can see where there'll be 4 counties come together, and 1/4 of one, 1/4 of another, and then a fourth and a fourth of 4 different counties come together and become part of the national forest, which in our area is they did have 2 national forests in our area. Now they consolidated into one. It was Clark National Forest, named after one of the people in the Lewis and Clark expedition, and then the Mark Twain National Forest. It's now all Mark Twain in our area, Mark Twain National Forest. If you look at maps that existed before these forests were established, you'll see where there were cities and towns. And when I say cities, small cities, but they were cities nonetheless, and they had stores and schools and hotels and post offices and barber shops and beauty shops and blacksmith shops and homes. And you go to where those towns were now, there's not even foundations. You can't tell that a human being ever walked that part of the planet. It's just completely erased, completely wiped off the map. Completely unconstitutional, I might add. These national forests are all completely unconstitutional. I don't know why that was allowed to happen during the Roosevelt administration. I know how it happened. He basically packed the Supreme Court, is what Roosevelt did. He couldn't get a majority to go along with what he wanted to do, so he expanded the Supreme Court to add more justices of his choosing, so he could get done what he wanted to do. But that was 80 years ago. That's long gone. We're still living some of the consequences, no doubt. The national forests are still here. Families that were ruined, in some cases, have never recovered. Families who got wealthy are still wealthy. So we're still living many of the consequences of the Great Depression. And will there be another one? I don't know. We have many issues. If you go to my website, of course, at thelibertyman.com, you'll see field training exercise USS Liberty, December 31st, 2018. Economic collapse is one of the, I believe there's 5 scenarios that I list there. Economic collapse. The people in the know before 1929, they knew it was coming. It was planned in advance. They got their cash out of the markets, so they had plenty of cash. And when the markets collapsed, they literally bought America for 5 cents on the dollar. Now, I had an aunt and uncle in Florida who, they weren't wealthy, but my aunt, it was a great aunt actually, my great aunt worked in the county courthouse, and she knew when different properties would be coming up for foreclosure and to be auctioned on the county courthouse steps. And her husband selectively bought some of these properties and apparently did quite well for themselves. I never met these people. This is what I've heard through family legends. And I'm sure that was done thousands of times all over the country, where people took advantage of other people's grief and misfortune. Of course it happened. But buying America for 5 cents on the dollar would be a pretty good deal. The farmland, the commercial buildings, the apartment buildings, the businesses, stocks of manufacturing companies and mining companies that were severely depressed were purchased for 5 cents on the dollar. That would be a pretty smart thing to do if you're in a position to do it, especially if you had knowledge beforehand that this was all going to go down. That would be a pretty smart thing to do. And that was done thousands of times all over this country. Will it happen again? I don't know. There's other things that may intervene beforehand. It's inevitable if things continue with no major disruption, such as EMP attack or some of these other events, some violent earth changes. Of course the economy is going to collapse. It's the debt, national debt cannot be sustained. It's mathematically impossible to keep servicing, making the debt larger and servicing this debt. It can't happen. It simply can't. So that's inevitable. What will be here after the collapse? Real estate will be here. If you got paid off real estate, that's especially if it can be productive, growing crops, that will always have value. People look at gold and silver as safe havens. They will be safe havens. What other safe havens could there be? Well, if you're a healthy man or woman, you got skills. Those skills won't go away. There's still going to be demand for skills, whatever those skills may be. Now, a degree in art history is not going to be terribly valuable, but if you're a registered nurse, a paralegal, a welder, a mechanic, plumber, carpenter, those skills will still be in demand. You can still make a living. I know I'm kind of rambling here, going different directions, but the point is, to all this, is to be aware and pay heed and be ready to survive whatever's coming at us. That's the whole purpose here. And survival may be a hobby farm for you. It may be having a portable skill that you can take somewhere and start over if you need to. A lot of people are leaving California and starting over. Middle class, upper middle class people getting out of Dodge, leaving California. Let Jerry Brown have it. Let the illegal aliens have it. Let the progressives, liberals, communists in San Francisco have it. And go someplace else. Don't bring your California beliefs here to Missouri. They will not be welcome. I know my daughter, who grew up in Seattle, Metro Seattle, they've had it with Californians moving up there and bringing all their socialist, communist ideas with them. Many times these people just leave California just because real estate prices have gotten so high they can't afford to buy the home they want, or they can't resist selling the home they've got to start someplace else over again. I can't tell you what's going to happen in the future. I can't tell you what the possibilities are. I list them there. Field training exercise USS Liberty. I got a note from an engineer. He says he wished the Californians would stop coming to Austin, Texas. Well, good luck on that. Yeah, that's a bastion of communist thought. Here's our next break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Let's jump back to our more here on Tuesday, the 27th of March. I list 5 different scenarios there under field training as USS Liberty. Number 1, economic collapse leading to civil disorder. Number 2, World War III. Number 3, rapid onset violent earth changes. That's what I talked about in Dallas over the weekend. Number 4, widespread terrorist attacks. And last but not least, number 5, natural or man-made EMP. We've had ISIS, the religion of peace, strike again in Paris. Not Paris, in southern France in the last couple of days. I'm not sure how many are dead. The religion of peace, ISIS terrorists, started shooting at some French policemen, ended up holed up in a grocery store. And like I said, I'm not sure how many people died. You need to be aware of all these scenarios. You need to plan to deal with them. I can't say that any of the 5 will happen. I will say that economic collapse leading to civil disorder is inevitable. I will say that natural EMP, or man-made, is inevitable. It is a matter of when, not if, Earth gets hit by a coronal mass ejection. It knocks out power grids. Maybe some, maybe all. Hard to say. Violent Earth changes, they're inevitable. I can't say when, but they are inevitable. This planet goes through these changes. That's well understood and well documented. And that's inevitable as well. So you need to be aware of these things, plan to deal with them effectively, and live your life as best you can. That's what you need to be doing. You could get really into the preparation, like myself or my friend Leon Green, and really make it a passion that you spend a lot of time and money on. Or it can be something you do occasionally while you're living your life and doing all your career-related, family-related, social-related things. It could be either way. So do what you got to do to get prepared and live your life. That's my advice. I think you'll find what I say there on my website at Field Training Exercise USS Liberty, December 31st, 2018. It'll be helpful, give you some guidance, and help you get going. If you don't know how to get started, it'll help you get started. So just do that and move forward from there. Okay, we got top of the hour break coming here shortly. We will have Leon Green with us. We'll be talking about a number of different topics, preparedness. Lord knows what direction we're going to go because we go all different directions. And, of course, we'll be talking about doTERRA essential oils as well. And look forward to doing that here in just about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. We'll have the top of the hour break. There's our break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 27th of March. The prepper tip of the day, I want to encourage everybody to buy extra magazines for their firearms and extra ammunition. 1,000 rounds per firearm is, well, just a good start, quite frankly. And 12 magazines per firearm, take detachable magazines, is also a good start. Make sure you don't buy aftermarket magazines. I generally don't trust aftermarket magazines. The original factory magazines are the ones that are going to be the most dependable. So if you think you may be saving some money, you might be in for a very unpleasant surprise if you buy aftermarket magazines for your rifles and pistols and shotguns. Okay, we have a patient waiting in the green room, my friend Leon Green. Leon is a gentleman who's taken the time, made the effort to become very knowledgeable of all the wonderful things and all the wonderful ways that doTERRA essential oils can be incorporated into your daily life, help you in your daily life to achieve your goals of having the happy, fun, full, productive life that we all want to have. Good morning, Leon. Okay, is Leon there? Okay. Well, maybe Leon's taking a break, and we'll get him back here momentarily. Um, yeah, at the when I was at the Dallas event, there was 3 women that had a doTERRA display set up. It was very nice. They had. Okay, Leon, are you with us?
Yes, sir. I'm here at the doTERRA Leadership Convention here in Long Beach right now. I'm actually at a friend's house, and the reception's not so hot at the top of the mountain. And so I just wanted to say that
okay.
What they talked about so far has been interesting.
All right. Well, if the connection holds up, we'll be able to do some radio here, Leon. I would think Long Beach, California would have good telephone service. That seems a bit out of character, doesn't it?
Yes, it's at the top of the mountains, rolling hills, estates, and Palos Verdes, and so there's probably so many comms up here. That's probably one of the issues they have. But that's no problem. I heard you talk about how much backup you need to have, and I agree. And I was looking at some, getting some last night, ammunition, and when you said 1,000 rounds, and that's what happens when I go out the front side. I do that in 4-day class. So it's like, okay, what are you anticipating if you're expecting trials and tribulation and anything similar to the
you're breaking up there, Leon. Leon, you're breaking up. We're not getting everything you're saying here. So
okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the top of the hill. Where he said
go to the top of the hill. Okay. Well, do that, and you're gonna reconnect or stay with us,
yes,
or
sir.
how are you gonna do this?
Yes. Yeah. I'm gonna call you right back.
Okay. Well, Leon's gonna drop off to the top of the hill and then call back. In the meantime, if you got a question or comment, we're talking about doTERRA essential oils. My wife, Dr. Moore, and myself, we've incorporated doTERRA essential oils. She was having some issues yesterday with cold feet, and so we looked up in the book Modern Essentials that cinnamon would be good for that issue, and we got some cinnamon out, and it helped her have warm feet. So that it's good to have the book handy, Modern Essentials. Good to have the oils handy, have a stock of oils that you can draw from as needed, and then achieve your goal. Achieve your goal. That's what we do. And you can also. It's really easy to get started with doTERRA essential oils. 2 things. First of all, send me an email. My email address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. By return email, I will send you my doTERRA website link. The second thing is to buy 1, possibly 2 books or the same book, different editions. The 5th edition of the book titled Modern Essentials. I would get that first. And then the 9th edition of the same book, Modern Essentials. They both have their own merit. They both stand on their own merit, I should say. And I think that between the 2 books, you'll have essentially all the knowledge that you need to understand how, why, and when to incorporate doTERRA essential oils into your daily life. So do that. Okay. Leon will be reconnected very shortly. And once he is, hopefully we'll have a good solid signal and be able to talk more about the essential oils and tap into Leon's extensive knowledge of how these oils work, which, okay. Are you back with us, Leon?
Yes, sir. How do you sound?
Okay. Are you top of the hill now?
Very close to it. I didn't want to waste too much time driving 2 miles up, but yes.
Okay.
I have 5 bars.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were running up to the top of the hill or driving. So you took the. I was thinking you might be out of breath by the time you ran up there. Well, Leon, at the the Watchman event that I was in Dallas over the weekend, there were 3 women there with a very nice doTERRA display. and they had, I think, 3 or 4 diffusers going, putting out all this wonderful smelling oil into the air. They were where I was, so I got the benefit of the diffusers going right there in close proximity to me.
Outstanding.
In fact, that's how you and I met. It was at one of Vince Finelli's preparedness event in Springfield, Missouri, where we first met a number of years ago.
Yes, sir.
And I think you were out of pocket a moment ago. Yesterday, my wife was talking about having cold feet, so we got out the book, Modern Essentials. We looked up what might be helpful and found cinnamon to be one of the helpful oils, and so we used some cinnamon, and now the feet aren't cold anymore.
Yes, sir. Cinnamon is very good,
Yeah.
and cypress is as well. Cypress it increases blood circulation, so that's another good one. You hear it?
Yeah. Well, it's what I've been telling people while they were on your break there. As you get started is my doTERRA website link. Just send me an email, and also a copy of the book Modern Essentials, 5th edition, number 1. Number 2, Modern Essentials, 9th edition. Now, the only other thing we haven't talked about in this segment is how to contact Leon, and that would be area code 303, right, Leon?
Correct. 4905 2188.
21, yeah, area code 303-4905-2188 to contact Leon. Mountain Time, that's his office telephone for a private consultation. And you're in Long Beach. How long are you there for this doTERRA event?
Oh, it's 3 days long, then I'm back to front site and then back home.
Okay. Do they have a room with your name on out there, Leon?
No. You mean, front site. No, they have a tent
yet.
with my name on it, yeah.
A tent? Okay.
No,
They have
I
tents
have a
permanently
tent,
set up out there for people?
No, but I just left it out there because
bring
I'm
your
going
own
to be there
tent?
for... Yeah, I bring my own tent, and I have a friend that has has a storage area. So I leave my stuff with him, and since I'm coming into the communist state of California, I had to leave all my toys, the AK and Uzi and things like that. So, even my magazine. So it's pretty awkward to make a trip out here. So it's much easier that way.
Okay. All right. Well, it's a journey. It's a quest. Learning about doTERRA essential oil, understanding how they work, why they work, getting the knowledge, getting the oils. It all works together to help people achieve their goals, doesn't it, Leon?
Absolutely. And, the purity and the potency is crucial if you plan on using them for therapeutic applications, medical. If you're just looking for a nice smell, just get the cheapest in the world. But if you want something that's going to help you medically, it needs to be pure and it needs to be potent. Because you can have something that's pure but not potent because many companies will dilute it with other oils like jojoba, sunflower, safflower. And so it's like having bleach. If you add, you have a bottle that's 100% bleach, but if you dilute it 50%, it's lost its efficacy in cleaning and also for sterilization and things of that nature. And so they were really focusing on how we have a new organization we're working with called APRC, which stands for Aromatic Plant Research Council. And so that is a totally separate entity from doTERRA. And now we have 3 total entities that test each and every batch. And if you go to source2u.com and look at your bottles, you'll be able to see exactly the breakdown, how much carvacrol is in there, limonene, like in cinnamon, the aldehydes. So all of those are addressed, and you can actually see all the information. And so doTERRA is the only company in the world that has 15-plus tests on their oils. So when I talk to people, I'm like, oh, yeah, we tested, and we dropped the oils in water. That is not testing for purity or potency by any stretch. And so that is available now to everybody to go access source2u.com. And if you have a code off the bottle you're looking at, you can actually find the entire history, when it was tested, who tested it, all that information. So, doTERRA, as always, is one, is a leader in this field of allowing people to know what's in the oils. Many other companies will not tell you. If they have, and the vast majority of them have things like, glyphosate in it, because when you concentrate a natural product 50 to 70 times, any of the chemicals in the air have now been concentrated or distilled that much as well. So doTERRA, the oils are truly 100% certified pure therapeutic grade.
Well, that's important to know. As I've mentioned before, when this is radio, we always got new listeners. I work with several doctors, both MDs and chiropractors, who were searching for the highest quality essentials to incorporate into their practice for use by themselves and their family. So they did their homework, they did their due diligence, and all these doctors that I work with arrived at the same conclusion, that the highest quality, purest oils they could get their hands on was doTERRA essential oils. And that's a great recommendation right there, isn't it, Leon?
Absolutely. When the doctors themselves, because they understand that, if the oils, if they go with many different batches or many different companies, and they aren't tested by outside entities as compared to in-house, which many of the companies will do. They'll say, yeah, we test our own oils. Yeah, we do two tests. We do mass spec and gas chromatograph. What happens is if they see adulterants and things of that nature, they're like, okay, 0.02% is enough for us. That's good enough. And doTERRA is 0. We're talking to the billionth decimal. That's how important it is for us. And so, the other thing I talked about yesterday, when you were talking about the medical application, is we are working now with leading doctors, both homeopathic and allopathic doctors, nationwide, and we're going to be setting up 5 clinics sponsored by doTERRA, which these doctors have access to over 10,000 medical. Now, there's over 40,000 studies on essential oil, but there's 10,000 that are available that you can read specifically which oils are for what specific issues, and there's documentation on how effective they are. So there's going to be one out in Utah starting, another one up in Hawaii and Alaska. And so they're working on these nationwide, both coasts, because the demand is so high for scientific research to be available to these doctors. So when that rolls out, I'll also pass that on to you. And some of these slides, I'll send you pictures. So we can talk about them next week as I have more information.
Okay, Leon, we're still getting your signal breaking up pretty badly. We're getting most of what you're saying, but it's not as crystal clear as we would like. We got our first break coming up here in about 2 minutes. Is it possible to get higher on that hill that you're parked on there?
Yes, sir. What's really strange is I have 5 bars on my phone, so I don't know. I really can't ascertain it. I can't get more than 5, but I'll go up a little bit higher then.
No. Well, that's not my expertise. All I know is what I'm hearing. So
yes, I understand.
It's like I say, it is what it is. Well, maybe perhaps during the break you could move to a still higher spot. We got about 3 minutes or so, and we'll get a better signal. It sounds like you need a Wilson amplifier as much as you are out in these remote areas, Leon.
I know you've talked about that, and I went on my trip and I forgot all about it. So I'm going to write that down and check into that.
Well, tattoo it inside your eyeball lid there, your eye, so you won't miss it. But seriously, one of my neighbors, the wife commutes about 45 miles through some remote areas, and they finally got a Wilson amplifier for her vehicle, and they're so glad they did, because
nice.
It's, she's traveling at night by herself a lot of times, or early in the morning before daylight, and it's certainly some peace of mind. And the reason I'm saying this is for the benefit of all our listeners.
Yeah, I agree.
Wilson amplifier will give you cell phone coverage where you'd never, ever would have it otherwise. So that's just good to know that. And they have two versions, one for the automobile and one for home. I know out here many people don't have cell phone service. It's just too remote.
Yes. Well, I will be getting putting that in the cart today.
Well,
and
good.
Also, how would
I know how diligent you are.
Yes, sir. So I picked up two guns.
Go
ahead, I'm sorry.
300 people paid $50 a person here at lunch, and I got to do an abbreviated presentation. It was only 20 minutes, but it was very well received by everybody who was there. I'm glad I went. I got to meet some people in person that I've been wanting to, like John B. Wells, for example, Lisa Haven, several others that are very well known in the Patriot community, in the alternative media. So it was a worthwhile event, very worthwhile, and I'm glad that I went. And they do two of these a year, and I don't know if I'll be invited for the next one or not, or where the venue's going to be, but it was certainly worth it. I'm glad I went.
Excellent. Yes, I went to your website and invested and got that $49 streaming video because I knew I'd be out here, so I'm going to watch it soon.
I'm not sure that, I don't think they videoed my presentation. Here's our break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by two men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Okay, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 27th of March. Visiting with Leon Green, we're talking about doTERRA essential oils. If you want to get started with doTERRA essential oils, it's real simple. Send me an email. My email address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. And get yourself a copy of the book, Modern Essentials, 5th edition, and Modern Essentials, 9th. When you send me your email, ask for my doTERRA website link, and I will send it back to you by return email. Well, we're hoping that Leon was able to get to even higher on the mountaintop up there, where he has even better coverage. Leon, are you still with us?
I am. I'm looking 300 yards away, looking at 6 microwave towers with no obstruction line of sight. So I can't get much better than sticking my head in the radiation factory.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go with we'll pick this up and run with it this morning. That's good. Leon, as I frequently say, doTERRA essential oils are not the silver bullet. They're part of an overall healthy lifestyle. You think you can still have the 3 famed mood groups be your pizza and ice cream and be healthy using doTERRA oils? Well, you're sadly mistaken, aren't you, Leon?
Absolutely. That is correct.
Yeah. So it's going to, being healthy, staying healthy is going to require lifestyle changes, dietary changes, and gaining knowledge. It's hard, you know more about doTERRA oils than anybody I've ever met, but you're still learning yourself, aren't you?
Absolutely, and there are new studies being done every day worldwide. So, doTERRA is, we're still working with Johns Hopkins, and that's a major medical facility here in America. But we also work with other ones abroad. And I'm looking at a picture of the 6 scientists, all PhDs. And here, let me read off a couple of names: Aaron Sorensen, Liam Setzer, Pablo Satal from India, and there's actually 3 of the 6, and these are some of the experts in the entire world, and they know oils better than any people in the world, and so these people are on APRC, and they're doing the testing. So they are constantly learning. They're also, especially when they start working with the medical doctors, the application and how effective certain oils are on different body systems, respiratory, digestive, circulatory. And so, and there's even a new education series coming out with doTERRA shortly it's going to be very similar to that website called Everything Essential, in which people could go and they would see, they would know what the issue is, and they could backtrack and say, okay, these are the best oils. So it's very similar to the book, but it's even going to have a video on each one of the oils and their application in that sector. So, they are constantly looking to improve because they realize with social media and people want to learn video and they want to be able to see the results. So for the analytical people, this is going to be very awesome. There are some people who, they hold the oil and they breathe it and say, yep, that's for me. And I'm more analytical than that. So I like to see science, and that's what they're going to provide for us, which is awesome.
Well, and that brings us to PubMed, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. And PubMed's been available, since the dawn of the internet. So it is a repository of medical and scientific studies worldwide on anything to do with the human body. And so, they will address things as diverse as cancer and foot fungus and the whole gamut. And talking about all the chemicals that are out there, pharmaceuticals to use on those. But they also have 40,000 studies on essential oils specifically. And so if you type in frankincense and essential oils with cancer, you'll see how effective it is as a anti-tumoral agent as well as an anti-canceral agent. So those important issues are all addressed on PubMed.org. And so it's free to access. You can see the entire studies, and if you're in the medical field, you can get access to everything. But the executive studies or executive summary is available to everybody 24/7.
Right. Well, it's an ongoing process of learning and incorporating that knowledge into your daily life, getting access to the information. All these things work together as part of an overall healthy lifestyle involving the doTERRA essential oils, the energy cleaner, good, healthy, organic food, good, healthy, clean water with no sodium fluoride or chlorine in it, a reasonable amount of exercise, and a positive mental attitude. Right, Leon?
Yes, sir, and throw the rest in there, too, because obviously if you don't get enough rest, your body can't regenerate and rejuvenate.
That's right. Well, sleep deprivation will change your whole life. And I know I've gone almost 3 days straight without sleeping, and it made me feel pretty strange. And it's you start seeing things that aren't there, especially at night. You're searching the edge of the jungle for any movement that could harm you. And it's you need good sleep. You definitely need good sleep, and the oils will help you get good sleep.
Absolutely.
The energy cleaner will help you get good sleep. And understanding your circadian rhythm. A lot of people never even heard the term circadian rhythm, have they, Leon?
Yes, it seems awkward in this 21st century. People have never heard it, but yes, it definitely has an impact. Light does too. Excuse me. If you need to get up early, and you have a window that has access to the light, if you open up your blinds, the light will actually cause serotonin to be impacted, and it will actually accelerate your waking up process versus getting a jarring alarm when it's pitch black, and it's much harder to transfer from REM sleep to waking.
And to get good sleep, I recommend first. Let's talk about sleep a little bit. We got about an hour break here momentarily. May get cut off by the music. You want total darkness. You want your head facing north, a comfortable bed, obviously, total silence, and no electronics within 10 feet of your head. Do those things, and it will help your sleep tremendously, won't it, Leon?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Here's our break. Call numbers 800-313-9443. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 27th of March. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. There's lots of things that will help you achieve your goals. For example, under my section, free downloads, there's if you know people who are consuming diet sodas, there's a free article there at my website under free downloads, the artificially sweetened times. It's a compendium, it's 1920 pages, it's not terribly long, of articles concerning all the harmful impacts that artificial sweeteners have on us all the time. They're poison is what they are, especially aspartame, which is the one we find in almost everything these days. So you may want to print that out if you have a friend who consumes diet soda. You may want to hand that to your friend. It may do some good. It's possible. You never know. It may do some good. All you can do is make the attempt, right? And, of course, also my website, you'll find the energy cleaner for sale, a marvelous healing device. That's what it is. If you have issues with pain, it will help you. If you have issues not getting a great night's sleep, it will help you. Only $285, shipping included to American zip codes. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads to go with the energy cleaner. Keep in mind, I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee on an energy cleaner. That's what I do from me to you personally, a 90-day money-back guarantee. So check out the energy cleaner. Check out the mattress pads. You can place your order right there at my website at thelibertyman.com, or you can call my toll-free order line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 9543. Visiting with Leon Green, we're talking about the doTERRA essential oils. The call number, if you got a question or comment about doTERRA essential oils, is 800-313-9443. Well, Leon, your quest to become knowledgeable about the doTERRA oils began, what, it's been 7, 8 years ago now?
Yes, sir, 8 years ago. Specifically with doTERRA. I mean, yes, sir. Matter of fact, we were going over our 10-year anniversary as of March of last year. I'm sorry, this year.
Okay. So doTERRA been going about 3 years when you got involved with it. And you've obviously, when you did your seminar here in St. Louis, Leon, last year, it was very well received. Everybody was so thoroughly impressed with your knowledge about doTERRA oils. The women were all going gaga over your 12-year-old son. And it was a great event. I'm glad we did that. Maybe we can do it again sometime.
Yeah.
But you don't need to know everything Leon knows, ladies and gentlemen. You can access most of this knowledge by getting yourself a copy of the book, Modern Essentials, or 2 copies, the 5th edition and the 9th edition. Then you'll have the basic knowledge that you need to move forward, won't you, Leon?
Absolutely. When you have those books, that information pales compared to what I know. So it is. It goes into depth about each oil, about its components, and their application to the human body, what system is most applicable for. So it is by far the easiest way. It's like having Dr. Hill in your pocket. So it is very, very effective. So, and plus you have that for. And if you have that information available for, emergencies. So, in a grid down scenario, there won't be any communications with John and I. So you'll have this, we call it pretty much the essential oil Bible because of how in-depth it is. And as long as you know the system. I was with 2 friends of mine from Idaho yesterday, and I've known them for years. This man had a pulmonary embolism. He went to the hospital. The first hospital, they didn't do a CAT scan, and they only did it of his stomach, even though he was coughing up blood. And so, theoretically, he would have died. And the other nurse that was in front of us said, that's happened many times, which people made mistakes, and they did not read it right, and the person died. So he went to a different hospital, and the nurse there, not the nurse, but the doctor, they did the CAT scan, MRI, and they found it immediately. But something as simple as, coughing up blood, it really doesn't apply to your stomach, but they did an X-ray or a CAT scan of his stomach, which I thought was totally inane. And it wasn't like it was a resident. It was actually a doctor. So,
really?
What is nice about the oils is as long as you know what system it is, and even if you're wrong, if you give the wrong oil, your body it's bioactive. So your body knows, hey, this is good for me, and so it absorbs it. Unlike, the side effect pharmaceutical drugs that, have liver toxicity, sleep issues, weight gain, all the psychoactive implications. So, when I thought about that, his name is Todd, I was just flabbergasted to think about it. How I've known this guy for 4 years, and he would have died, because had he stayed at that same hospital, his embolism could have traveled to his brain, and he would have had a stroke, and he could have died. So it's crazy to think that, we have the best trauma medicine in the world, but when it comes to prevention and even diagnosis, 50%, I believe 50% is the error in the diagnosis on initial diagnosis. And so in this case, that was exactly what happened. And so it was a life-threatening illness that was completely missed, and it blows me away. But that is why, like you said, the health aspect. One oil that helped with breaking the clot was clove oil. That was drastic, and they said, no, your clot's going to be there for, a week or 2 or longer. And he used the oils regularly for 3 days, and it was gone after the second day. And so I said, you may want to keep clove, especially if he has a propensity for clots, you may want to just keep clove in your inventory and have lots of it because of the importance it will have specifically in your life.
Now, how did he make use of the clove, if you know, Leon?
Yes, I asked him either. He did it topically, and they gave him blood thinners and all this, and he was worried that if he took it internally, it would affect it would affect all the chemicals, and his wife is the expert in the oils, and so he just did it topically, but I would have done it internally, sublingually and topically at the same time.
Right. Well, that's good to know. That's very good to know. I make use of the oils every day. My wife, Dr. Moore, makes use of the oils every day. It's a learning process. We've been using the doTERRA oils now for, I guess, 4 or 5 years, and it's a learning process of getting the oils, using the book to find out which oils are best for which purpose. And I can't say too much about that book, Modern Essentials. It's so thoughtfully laid out. The index is quick and easy to use. It's a high-quality hardcover book with coated stock, not some cheap book. The illustrations and graphics are very professional. Everything about both volumes, the 5th edition and 9th edition, is just as professional as it can be, isn't it, Leon?
Absolutely. And at the very back of the book, there's probably 20 pages of reference. So if you're looking specifically for this science experiment or this study from Johns Hopkins, you can see the information on it. It gives you all the authors, the location, the time, the date, and everything. So you can go and get that scientific study, whether you contact Johns Hopkins and they send it to you directly, but they also reference it. So, this book is pretty much the Bible of how to use oils, because it goes in depth. The singles, the blends that are proprietary to doTERRA, how the oils interact with the body, the breakdown, like what aldehydes do versus ketones versus limonene. All of these are addressed. And so it is a phenomenal book. And you know what? It's a great statement when you see other companies, they will use that book because they realize instead of trying to rewrite the Bible, what they do is they said, okay, we're going to follow that because that is better than anything else on the planet.
Well, do they plagiarize the book, or do they? What do they exactly do, Leon?
No, it's written by Aroma. It's called Aroma Tools, is the maker of of that book. And so it's not doTERRA because of the FTC and FTC and FDA. We can't reduce the solution as well as the literature. Only the drug companies can, say, okay, this is what our drugs do, and therefore, they have a conflict of interest. Whereas with us, we can only produce the oils or the book, and we by far realize that the book is very good, but the oils are the one that saves and heals.
Right. Well, we need both. And
yes.
Yeah, we do. We need both. Now, I have to admit, I have not got the 9th edition yet. It's on my list of things to do. On one hand. On the other, we use the 5th edition pretty much if not every day, every other day, or no more than 3 days at a time go by without referencing the book Modern Essentials. It's a godsend, Leon, that have that wealth of knowledge right there at your fingertips. Oh my goodness, you don't need to call a doctor, don't need to call Leon Green. Just pick up the book, go to the index, and within 2 to 3 minutes, I've got my answer. It just could not be better, Leon.
Yes, sir. I agree with you 100%. So, I travel with it, whether it's internationally, because how much knowledge is in it. And so, when I was on the plane, there were people who brought on bugs. So I showed them the science, and then they understood how effective it was. So it wasn't me trying to talk; they could see the science.
They convince themselves, don't they?
Yes, exactly.
And that's the strongest form of convincing is when you convince yourself. And that's what the book Modern Essentials will do. That's what PubMed will do. It's a change to start substituting. We haven't talked about this for a while. People need to be considering substituting doTERRA essential oils for prescription pharmaceutical products for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's healthier and more effective. Second of all, those prescriptions could be cut off by any number of different events. And then you'd be stuck trying to detox and change and go from 5 or 6 medications to no medications at once, which would be really tough, wouldn't it, Leon?
Absolutely. And one other thing we don't talk about, it's actually less expensive than the drugs. when an application of something for something like sleep. I should put it. I have this. I have to dig it out, but it shows the cost of how much average pharmaceutical drugs are versus drops of oils that may be the same amount of efficacy or better without the side effects, can be pennies. And maybe 10 cents for the use of lavender for 3 drops for sleep or whatever. Or it could be a localized pain because it's a natural analgesic. And so, when you see the financial difference between having these drugs that have side effects, that have a shelf life, that will be cut off in a grid down scenario, it's not a matter of if. I mean, there are still people in Puerto Rico that are in the dark right now, even though that happened 6 months ago. That hurricane that came through, they're still in the dark.
Right.
They've still not got the wiring. So if something, we had a major catastrophe here in America, whether it's CME or EMP or anything of that magnitude, the drugs, the mail is going to stop flowing immediately. And so the people who are reliant on those drugs are going to be at a severe disadvantage medically, and then pretty soon, depending on what the drug is, it could be life-threatening.
Well, absolutely. And so here's what you do, ladies and gentlemen. You pick one at a time. Say you're taking a drug for your heart to make it beat faster or beat slower. And you pick out an oil, or oils, plural, and set up your protocols. And begin weaning yourself off the medication while at the same time substituting the doTERRA essential oil. And you do that one at a time. We have right now, Leanne, what appears to be a luxury of time. It may be a complete illusion, but for the time being, we do. So getting yourself off the pharmaceutical products will be healthier, save you money, and make you independent of the power grid, won't it, Leanne? Absolutely.
When you have them at your disposal, you can use them not only for yourself, but your family, and if you have other people on your teams. So, many times, that's one thing we don't talk about a lot is, if you have a troop or a bunch of people working with you to protect your homestead and your families, and you're the only person that has it, now, they're going to look to you saying, okay, you have it and I've run out. So it can be life-threatening to not have the ability to protect yourself. And also, there's going to be babies born during a collapse, and not having antibiotics and things of that nature, or natural antibiotics, could be life-threatening in that regard as well for both the mother and the baby.
That's right. That's right. I've been encouraging men to be heroes by stocking up on birth control products and feminine hygiene products, because those will be highly, highly valuable during any kind of collapse. Sure. And stock up on the oils right now while we have what appears to be luxury of time, which might be a complete illusion, couldn't it, Leon?
Yes, sir. And I look at all the things that I acquire on a regular basis, and there are certain oils that I get constantly, and that is oregano and cinnamon, because they're super antibiotics. Those two alone are able to kill all 4 vectors: viruses, bacteria, parasites, and fungus. So if you have those two, so I typically every other month I will grab both of those, and they're very. Well,
Americans have parasites. We think of parasites as a third world issue, but Americans have parasites in very, very large numbers, don't they, Leon?
Yes, sir. Over 90% of Americans have it, and the vast majority are microscopic. But 95% of the rest of the world all have parasites. So it is very much like the movie Aliens or Monsters Inside Us, except for on a microscopic level. And they feast on your food. They take the nutrients. But I've met people who, here in America, young blondes who've not traveled abroad, but they've had, the pinworms, and the hookworms and trichinosis. And so these tapeworms, and they will consume your food before you do it. So you become anemic. You start lots of lethargy and overall apathy, because they are taking your lifeblood and your food. And so it's crucial that you get rid of those things. Right. Oregano is phenomenal in that regard. Right. I've done it with dogs. The dogs that had parasites or worms, and you can see you put it in the dog food, and these worms come out through the feces and stools, and you see the worms just getting out of the body. Sometimes I even see them coming out of the skin. That's how effective oregano is.
That would be scary. Parasites. The worms coming out of the skin of people or animals?
Both.
Really? I'd like to see
Yes,
that
sir.
sometime. Boy, that'd be scary.
Yeah, if you think about the guinea worm, the one that is in Africa, yes, that is how effective it is. And they want to vacate the body. It kills the larva, the adults, and the juvenile parasites. So these worms do not like oregano. So
Which oils are
phenomenal.
the cinnamon, and what was the other one?
Yeah, cinnamon and oregano. Those two oils
Oregano,
cover all 4 vectors, pathogens.
Okay. All right. Well, I use oregano every day and cinnamon occasionally as needed. I think we got some cinnamon going on our diffuser right now, Leon.
Nice.
So, it's. We had guests over yesterday, so we made sure we got the diffuser going early in mid-morning before the guests got here to make sure we had a healthier environment while they were here and after they left.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and the diffuser is a neat machine. It takes that oil and turns it, atomizes it into a mist, and that mist just goes everywhere, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And so you're able to impact the air for cleansing, but also the emotional mood, too. If you add citrus oils to those, to cinnamon or whatever else, it is very much a mood enhancer. And so that's why Vanderbilt University has been using the oils for over 8 years, 10 years now, because of how effective they are in the ER. And this is where people are coming and they're dying, and the relatives are freaking out as well, saying, I want to see my mother, I want to see my relatives now. Get off the phone. I don't care about your lunch date. Get off. I want to see him now. Help me. And so they get the stress and the brunt of people who are anxious because of sickness and trauma to family members or relatives. So because of that, they found out how effective just breathing the oils reduces work-related stress by 90% and work-related frustration by 95%. And they've known this, and this study is available. And so, anyone who begs to differ, I can send that entire study from Vanderbilt University. It is very, very motivating to see that
Vanderbilt,
major level. Yes.
Right. Vanderbilt University has one of the highest ratings and reputations in the country, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it's a level 1 trauma center. During the Super Sandy blast on the East Coast, there were hundreds of people that were flown to Vanderbilt because that was the most effective level 1 trauma center that can do everything on the East Coast. Even though it wasn't on the coast, they flew them inland because these other hospitals were in the dark. They ran out of gas. 72 hours later, they were all in the dark. So people who think, well, I have a little bit of this, I have a little bit of that, and that'll last you for your 2 or 3 days, and then you're in the dark too. So it's crucial you get a fuel source that is not dependent on mail or dependent on electricity. So if you have that, great. But if you don't, you'll just be like the other people in the dark, and you can't really help the others if you're all in the same boat.
That's right. You can't. So pay heed, ladies and gentlemen. This is your opportunity to incorporate doTERRA essential oils into your life. Send me an email by return email. I will send you my doTERRA website link. Get yourself a copy of the book, Modern Essentials, 5th edition. If you can afford it, get the second book, Modern Essentials, 9th edition. If you need a private consultation, don't want to talk about your health concerns in front of several thousand people, we understand that. Give Leon a call. During office hours, Mountain Time, here's his office telephone number, 303-495-2188. And get going and get your life back, right, Leon?
Absolutely. It's pretty simple and pretty focused. And this isn't only for emergencies or crises. You can use them. I use them every day. Before I got on the radio, I used my 4 oils and use peppermint as a natural vasodilator and way to focus. And so they have quality of life impact that is significant. And I like doing it because of how effective they are. So it's pretty simple and very easy. My son, my children use them daily as well. And so, when they don't have it, it's kind of unusual for them to think, well, if we're at the beach or if they're separated from me and they don't have an oil, they're like, Dad, do you have this? And it's just funny to see how much it's just part of their life. They've known how much it's impacted their lives for the last 10 years.
Well, they're growing up with this as part of their daily life. They're going to have exceptional lives as a consequence of having these oils so early in their life. But it doesn't mean you can't catch up, ladies and gentlemen. You can catch up. Just because you haven't been doing the oils before, where there's life, there's hope, right, Leon?
Absolutely, there is. And the body is remarkably resilient. They talk about people who smoked and how fast the body can recover if it goes cold turkey. So the body can recover and recuperate. It just needs to have the access to do that, the abilities.
Absolutely. Well, it's simple. You don't have to have a PhD in science or medicine to understand what is being said in modern essentials. Anybody with a normal education can check it out and get what they need. Leon, we're out of time here. I look forward to having you back next week, sir.
Sounds good. Yes, take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
That's it for the day. Get your medical supplies, your energy cleaner, your essential oils now while you can, your firearms ammunition. Never, ever give up your guns. Please do have a fun, safe, productive day. And God bless America.